in the Volta region has commenced a commercial farming project aimed at improving the livelihoods of residents under the private-public partnership concept. To kickstart the program, the Assembly has acquired a 30-acre piece of land on which it has already cultivated 1 acre of chili pepper, with maize taking up the rest of the acreage.
Employment to the youth in the area has so far engaged more than 50 workers. The District Chief Executive, James Gunu, explains the Assembly has identified the significance of agriculture in development, hence the decision to support farmers in the area by providing them with farm inputs. He said the initiative also offers another revenue stream for the Assembly, as part of the produce from the farm will be sold and the rest supplied to the school feeding program operators in the district. The DC pleaded with the National Irrigation Authority and the Ministry of Agriculture to assist the Assembly reconstruct spillways on the Ave Dam.
This has been captured in the national budget, which was read by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, and very soon, when the funds are released, they will work on it as quick, for us to have water, in the dam.
The District Director of Agriculture said Nuto said farmers working on the farm were taken through some capacity building programs to bring them up to speed with modern farm practices to improve yields. He commended the Assembly on the initiative and disclosed some challenges they encountered, even though he remains optimistic about the next season's harvest.
We had help from the Assembly. The DC took the initiative to come and plow the field for us and supplied us with seed maize. The challenge we faced initially was the rainfall. Initially the rains were not there, but we tried to start it, and then as we go along, the rain came, and we were on it. But now, you can see the maize, it has a tasseling stage. We needed sulfate of ammonia or nitrogenous fertilizer to boost the growth, but it is not a system at all. The government supply subsidy is not yet ready. We heard it's available, it's coming, but it has not arrived yet. That is the only challenge for now that we are facing.
The Assembly hopes to mobilize about 20,000 Ghana cedis from the first harvest of the 1 acre chili pepper farm. Comnados reports for Joy News.
June 17, which is today, is the World Day to Combat Desertification. The theme of this year's WDCD is ecosystem-based adaptation, with the slogan, "Land belongs to the future, let's climate-proof it." The 2014 World Day to Combat Desertification highlights the benefits of mainstreaming sustainable land management policies and practices into our collective response to climate change. Sustainable land management increases both community and ecosystem resilience while improving the human condition, particularly in the drylands. George Otson is National Coordinator for the Global Environment Facility. He's joined me here. Well, I think I have lost George there. Would get back to that story and then speak to George Otson. I'll be right back. Don't go away. June 17 is the World Day to Combat Desertification. The theme for this celebration is ecosystem resilience, and the slogan is well, now let me just go over to the telephone line and speak with George Otson. George Otson is National Coordinator for the Global Environment Facility, and he joined me over the telephone. Hello, George.
Yes, yes, madam.
You're welcome to the program. Tell us about this year's celebration here in Ghana.
Right. Thank you very much. As you are aware, set aside for World Desertification Day, and the theme for this year's celebration is "Land belongs to us. Let us climate improve it. And the essence is that the certification, although is in the arid area, is gradually creeping into our tropical and also high forest area. And all over the world, people are undergoing a lot of climate changes in terms of temperature rise, reduction in rainfall, and also high intensity of rainfall all over. And this is having a negative effect on our food security and also on the livelihood of the people. And as you are aware, land does not belong only to us now, but also to the future generation. Therefore, we need to take an action now so that we can protect the land and preserve it for posterity, so that we'll be seen as good managers of land. So this year's celebration in Ghana is being done in two areas. One is in the northern Savannah area, and then one is also in the southern Savannah area. We are in the southern Savannah area, and we have selected Jatokro, which is in the Ewutu Senya district. You know, this area used to be a forest zone, but now has been reduced to almost savanna with a lot of desert-like conditions. And these two communities, that is Jatokro and outlining, we have been able to do a lot of tree planting and attempting to rehabilitate the area. And the day is being celebrated here to commend them and also to tell the rest of the Ghanaians that we have a task to rehabilitate our degraded land and also contribute to its future restoration. So that is why we are here this morning.
I see. Thank you very much for your time, George. George Watson is National Coordinator for the Global Environment Facility. Let's move on to some of the stories now. The Bank of Ghana is pushing for the use of the Chinese yuan as the alternative foreign trading currency to the United States dollar. It has consequently made the yuan available to commercial banks as the alternative settlement currency to businesses who want to trade in the Chinese currency. The head of financial stability at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, said the central bank wants to encourage the use of currencies of Ghana's major trading partners, such as the Chinese yuan, which is already available, instead of the US dollar as the sole settlement. Samuel Ampa is head of research with the Gold Coast Fund Managers. We'll talk about this now. Hello, Sammy.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon.
Absolutely, and you're welcome to the program. So, Sammy, your thoughts on this? Is the Chinese yuan the savior we've been waiting for?
Not exactly. Not exactly. I mean, this directive came in February, and full implementation was expected in April. At that time, Standard Chartered Bank was giving the authority to start with the trading of the yuan, and that traders who were supposed to go to China will use the yuan as the currency over there. I mean, at that time, I guess the exchange rate at that time was even about 39 pesos to one. So it is a directive that has been there since. Its implementation has been a problem, I guess so. And I also believe that I do not also say that that is the solution to the high rate of depreciation of the currency.
How can this help with that?
Well, you know, it puts a little bit of the, you know, it has to do with demand and supply. So if the demand for the dollar will be reduced, it will because most of the traders who hitherto were using the yuan, the dollar, would now shift to yuan, because then you can get it and directly trade with it. So it takes away the pressure from the higher, the volumes of dollar that will be demanded within the period, and then it also will help us in terms of knowing the volumes of currency that will be needed in terms of the traders. So it's a clear supportive way, but not exactly the remedy to our solution.
So what are those challenges we're having with implementation?
I guess the Bank of Ghana should be the right position to tell us. You know, traders are kind of funny. They have some perception about the dollar. So they might still want to hold on to the dollar. However, I guess when they see the exchange rate differentials, especially when you have to use a lot of CDs to get a dollar, and then some few pesos to get a yuan, and then you also can use that. You see that the value of your import commodity will still remain the same, but it's just that the exchange rate differentials will determine whether you have to go to the Chinese yuan or you have to go to the dollar. So that could be one of the things. And then education. If the traders are not getting it from the bank. So far, I knew that it was Standard Chartered Bank that was mandated to start that. I don't know of the other banks, if they've been giving the license or the right to also trade in yuan. But if it's open and then the traders get to know about it, I believe they would then want to shift to using the Chinese currency much more than the dollar. It's a matter of education.
I see. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Sammy. Sammy Ampa is Head of Research with Gold Coast Fund Management. Now, the Bank of Ghana has denied being pressured to review the forex measures introduced to stabilize the cedi. The review of the measures introduced in February comes after several calls from various analysts and experts, including former Finance Minister Professor Kwesi Boche and 2012 NPP Vice Presidential candidate Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia. But the President is also set to have directed the Central Bank to relax the measures, a move some say raises questions about its independence. Head of Financial Stability Dr. Benjamin Amwa, however, insists the revision was informed by their own assessment.
They were going to review the measures long before Senchi. It was done on April 2nd when the press conference was held here. Senchi, when was Senchi? So we had planned, and you can't just start to review things and get it the next day. We had planned and we were implementing it when the Senchi Accord came. So it is not a pressure on us. When you introduce something, you have to go back to the market to assess how it is impacting the market. And that's basically what we've done. We plan to go back to the market to see how the measures were affecting the market so that we can reduce I don't want to use your unintended consequence, we reduce the adverse effect and then enhance the positive, the strength of the measures. So basically that's what we've done.
Goldfields Ghana has raised concerns about the rising cost of production in the industry and the face of declining gold prices. Officials say they have had to lay off about 130 employees at the Damang mines alone, adding that more may have to go if the price of the precious metal does not recover soon. They have say government could help by improving the fiscal regime for the sector.
A number of mining firms are in distress as a result of the falling price of gold. Having sunk to record lows, the price of the bullion is beginning to show signs of recovery. Not encouraging enough though for firms such as Anglo Gold Ashanti, which is laying off about 6,000 workers, and now Goldfields, which says it had to follow suit.
Our projections for the year was to have a price hovering around $1,300 an ounce, the gold price, and that is not what we are experiencing. As we speak today, it's about $1,250. The dynamics are changing, but that decision has not been taken to still let go. There are other things we are doing when it comes to cost reduction. Letting people go is not that cost component is not much. There are lots of things we have to cut down on. I speak for the Daman mine, and in the neighborhood of 130, somewhere in February, March, 130 employees had to be made redundant.
All Although they have no control over the global prices of gold, the company remains hopeful the situation will stabilize soon. They are, however, calling for a platform to dialogue with government to review the fiscal regime of the mining industry, which they contend is making mining in Ghana unattractive.
We are also appealing to relevant stakeholders, especially the government, the state, to take a second look at the fiscal regime surrounding the entire mining industry in Ghana. We believe that comparatively, Ghana is gradually becoming one of the most difficult places to do business in terms of the fiscal regime. There's so much information out there, but when we talk of cost, the all-in cost of producing gold, that is a picture that is not too clear for people to see. They look at the price. Somewhere in the late 90s, gold was selling at $500. Now it's $1,200, so we should be okay. That is what people say. But the cost has more than quadrupled over the same period. So we need that platform to better explain the situation on the ground to the state, so that the solution will not come from us. It will come from such a platform, such a meeting. Maybe a century on mining will not be a bad idea.
Goldfields Ghana maintains although they dread laying off workers, they have very little choice faced with the current challenges. The company has, however, assured affected persons will be paid the appropriate redundancy packages. Abigail Adomakunchi for Joy News.
U.S. automaker General Motors is issuing another recall, this one affecting more than 3 million cars with faulty ignition switches. The switch defect is similar to an ignition problem that has been linked to at least 13 deaths and led to an earlier recall. GM says the latest issue involves ignition switches that can be jolted out of position, potentially affecting the car's steering, brakes and airbags. Well, that'll be all for business. Just before we go, news coming in. The Ministry of Health is holding a media briefing as part of government's weekly Meet the Press series. My colleague Etanam Stay is there for us. She's joining me now over the telephone. Hello, Etanam. The Ministry of Health has a lot to talk about. Tell us some of the things they have been sharing with the press.
Well, Kemini, I'm here with the Minister of Health, Acting Minister of Health, Sherry Aite, because she's been reassigned, as we all know. We have the Food and Drugs Authority, we have the Pharmacy Council, we have the National Health Insurance Authority, and then we also have representatives from the Medical and Dental Council. And we are currently looking at every issue concerning the ministry. We tackled issues of expiry dates on consumables. She looked at registration of sachet water. We also looked at several issues with the National Health Insurance Scheme, the fact that health providers are not getting paid, and then several issues. One issue that came up, the brouhaha with the Kolebu CEO and the vehicles that she said should be returned, is what she's answering right now. And we can assure viewers that in our subsequent bulletin, we'll give them the details of what exactly the current situation is with the Kolebu vehicle issues.
Is it possible to give us a sneak peek into what viewers would hear from you in subsequent broadcasts? What exactly has she started saying about the Kolebu CEO and management issue?
We asked that she directed that they should return the vehicles. That was a question that was asked her. She said that they are working on it, and she was actually speaking, and I had to step out just to talk to you. But she's giving details right now, but I'm outside the auditorium.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not privileged to exactly what she's saying right now. But we'll give details to our viewers in our subsequent bulletin. But what I can say for a fact is that she said they are working on it. I think people are calling for the removal of the CEO of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Others are calling for the board members to be restructured and several other issues. She said they are looking into that. But for the details, we'll have it in our subsequent bulletin. But like I said earlier, she spoke about several things they're putting in place to ensure that the National Health Insurance Scheme is strengthened and sustained. She also spoke about Food and Drugs Authority, what they're doing to ensure that we don't consume fake foods and medications. She also spoke about the role of the Pharmacy Council and then several other issues.
Does she indicate the plan for all of these, or has she indicated yet? For instance, improving the National Health Insurance scheme. Has she indicated her plan for that?
Yes, one of the things she spoke about is the e-claim submission system. I'm told it was introduced last year in 2013. E-claim submission system. She said this e-claim submission system is going to ensure that people, healthcare providers, people who are, because currently there are 3,500 healthcare providers, both private and government, who are taking their health insurance. He's saying that there's going to be a system where you electronically submit your claims. Apparently, the manual submission is some of the challenges they're faced with. That's why they are unable to pay people, the providers, on time. And so this electronic claim submission system is going to ensure that people are paid on time so that we don't have healthcare providers withdrawing their services because of lack of payment or delay in payment.
I see. And then there is also how the Ministry could help with the Food and Drugs Authority to curb very dangerous food products on the market. What exactly was the plan?
Well, some of the questions that we posed to them is the fact that, you know, we have the Food and Drugs Authority doing well with clamping down on fake medications and consumables. Now, the question was that, is there a system that we can put in place to ensure that we don't have these fake medications in the system at all, or their importation is kept? People don't import fake medications. And they said they have actually put in place an electronic system to tell whether or not this drug is fake. But I think one thing today they highlighted was that very often they will come out with products that are registered under the Food and Drugs Authority, so that if you are consuming a product which is not registered, you are doing that at your own risk. Because it appears people are increasingly coming up with various means of producing fake drugs and consumables. And so the only way, one of the ways, is to tell people exactly which products are registered and which are not, so that if you are consuming a medication or some food items that are not registered, you're doing that at your own risk. So that's one of the measures they said they are coming up with.
I see. We'll get back to you for more in subsequent broadcasts. Thank you very much for that information. And so it's time to get into some sports stories with Benedict Owusu. He's going to tell you how John Brooks, Ghana's new Suarez, gave us that gave the U.S. the late winner. So stay on for some sports news. Now, when was the last time you saw a vinyl, and when was the last time you heard music? Ghanaian music at that being played on that. Well, Jamja Events, in collaboration with Golden Stool Project at the weekend, treated a selected audience to a night of good old Ghanaian songs at an event aptly called Vintage and Vinyl at the Buki Foundation Gardens.
It was a night for Ghanaian music old enough to be on crutches or in wheelchairs. But a relatively young crowd, some of whom might not have been born when these songs were recorded, had great fun.
That'll be all for the recap of our top stories. Regional chairman of the NPP called on National Council of the party to change the date for the election of the party's presidential candidate. Bank of Ghana pushes for the use of Chinese yuan as the alternative foreign trading currency to the United States dollar.